You wake up, reach for your phone, and panic. You're already late. Every second matters. The ticking clock rules your life, from alarms jolting you awake to deadlines breathing down your neck. But what if there were no clocks, no watches, no way to check the time? In the medieval world, people lived without the constant pressure of ticking minutes, yet they still knew exactly when to wake, work, feast, and pray. So how did they do it? From reading the sun's shadow to burning candles as hour markers, their timekeeping tricks were as genius as they were unexpected. So how did they do it? From reading the sun's shadow to burning candles as hour markers, their timekeeping tricks were as genius as they were unexpected. Today, we're unlocking the secrets of a world without clocks. How did medieval people know when to wake up, work, feast, or pray without a single watch in sight? Their methods were nothing short of brilliant, from tracking the sun's shifting shadows to reading nature's silent cues. From the steady drip of water clocks to the slow burn of candle timers, they mastered time in ways we've long forgotten. So let's journey back in time and uncover the lost art of medieval timekeeping, where the world itself was the clock. In the medieval countryside, time wasn't dictated by ticking clocks. It was written in the rhythm of nature itself. Every living thing followed a pattern, and those who paid close attention could read time without ever glancing at a sundial. Some flowers, like nature's own clockwork, opened and closed at precise intervals. Take the dandelion, for example. It stretched its golden petals wide to greet the morning sun and slowly tucked itself away as dusk settled. These weren't just beautiful sights. They were silent signals, helping medieval farmers track time with nothing but their surroundings. Long before scientists studied these floral rhythms, medieval people likely relied on them to mark different parts of the day. From the way birds sang at dawn to how cattle instinctively returned home in the evening, the world itself was a living, breathing timepiece. One just had to know how to read it. The living clocks. Beyond plants, animals provided reliable time cues. The rooster's crow wasn't just noise, it marked the break of dawn. Villagers often relied on it to signal the start of their day. Bees, too, operated on a strict schedule, leaving their hives at sunrise and returning by sundown. Even cattle naturally wandered back to their shelters as evening approached. These everyday observations helped people structure their routines long before mechanical timepieces existed, tracking time on a grand scale. Time in the medieval world wasn't just measured in days, but in seasons. The sun's movement across the sky dictated farming cycles, religious festivals, and major events. The winter and summer solstices marked turning points in the year, influencing everything from planting schedules to celebrations. In monasteries and villages, traditions were deeply connected to these celestial shifts, proving that even without clocks, medieval societies understood time in their own way. But what happened when the sun wasn't visible? When nature's cues were unavailable, people turned to something more structured. Early timekeeping devices. From simple sundials to ingenious water clocks, medieval societies developed clever ways to measure time with remarkable accuracy. People relied on the movement of shadows to track time. Imagine a bright medieval morning. A merchant steps outside, glances at a stone pillar in the town square, and instantly knows when the market opens. No ticking hands, no gears, just sunlight and a shifting shadow. A sundial works by placing a stick, called a gnomon, upright so it casts a shadow. As the sun moves across the sky, the shadow shifts. By marking these positions, people could estimate different times of the day. It was a simple yet effective way to track time, as long as the sun was shining. Different types of sundials, from villages to monasteries. Medieval Europe had sundials in many forms. Some were large stone structures in town squares. Others were carved into church walls to signal prayer times. Monasteries relied on them to schedule daily rituals, while travelers carried small, portable sundials for navigation. Each design helped communities function without mechanical clocks. Challenges and limitations. When the sun disappeared, sundials weren't flawless. Cloudy days made them unreliable, and they needed adjustments throughout the year as the sun's position changed. In northern regions, Where daylight hours varied dramatically, sundials were less effective. Despite their usefulness, they couldn't work at night or in poor weather, which meant people needed alternative methods. Cultural variations. Sundials. Across the world, different civilizations advanced sundial technology in unique ways. The Islamic world developed precise mathematical sundials, while Chinese scholars created multi-tiered versions that tracked both time and celestial movements. These innovations influenced medieval Europe, refining how people used shadow-based timekeeping. Water clocks, liquid timekeeping. When the sun disappeared and shadows faded, medieval societies needed a way to measure time, one that worked at night, indoors, and even on cloudy days. The answer? Water clocks. These ingenious devices used the steady flow of water to track time with surprising accuracy. How water clocks worked. The concept was simple, yet effective. A container filled with water had a small hole at the bottom, allowing water to drip at a steady rate. As the water level dropped, markings on the container indicated the passage of time. Some designs used floating markers that moved downward, showing time more clearly. Ingenious designs, more than just dripping water. Medieval inventors improved water clocks in fascinating ways. Some had gears and levers to ring bells at specific intervals. Others used intricate mechanisms where flowing water powered small moving figures, almost like an early version of cuckoo clocks. In the Islamic world, advanced water clocks even included automata and complex calculations to track astronomical time. Despite their accuracy, water clocks weren't perfect. The speed of water flow could change with temperature, causing slight variations in timekeeping. Regular maintenance was needed to prevent blockages, and of course, if the water supply ran out, the clock would stop working entirely. Surprising accuracy, a step toward mechanical clocks. Water clocks remained essential for centuries. Monasteries relied on them to regulate prayer times, and scholars used them for scientific experiments. These clocks paved the way for more advanced timekeeping devices, eventually leading to the development of mechanical clocks. Transition to astrolabes. But time wasn't just about hours and minutes. Medieval civilizations also tracked time by looking up, reading the stars and planets with incredible precision. This led to one of the most sophisticated timekeeping tools of the age, the astrolabe, the medieval GPS. In the medieval world, time wasn't just about hours and minutes. It was written in the stars. Long before mechanical clocks, scholars, travelers, and sailors used a sophisticated instrument to measure time, navigate the seas, and even predict celestial events. This was the astrolabe, a marvel of medieval engineering that worked like an ancient GPS. Astronomical timekeeping, reading the sky. Unlike sundials or water clocks, the astrolabe didn't rely on shadows or flowing water. Instead, it used the positions of the sun, moon, and stars to tell time. By aligning the astrolabe's rotating disk with a celestial body, one could determine the hour with impressive accuracy, even at night. Cultural significance, a tool for science and faith. Astrolabes weren't just timekeepers, they were powerful tools for scholars, astronomers, and religious leaders. In the Islamic world, they were used to calculate prayer times and determine the direction of Mecca. In Europe, they helped scientists study the heavens and sailors navigate vast oceans. Kings and nobles prized them as symbols of knowledge and discovery. Precision and craftsmanship, a masterpiece of engineering. Each astrolabe was a work of art, carefully crafted from brass or bronze, engraved with intricate markings. The rotating plates, called rete, showed the positions of stars, while the back had complex mathematical scales for calculations. Owning an astrolabe was like carrying a portable universe in your hands. Practical applications, more than just a clock. Beyond timekeeping, astrolabes were used to measure altitude, track planetary movements, and even solve geometry problems. They were the smartphones of the medieval era, packed with multiple functions that made them essential for scientists, travelers, and explorers. Transition to candle clocks, but not everyone needed a complex astronomical device to track time. For everyday people, there was a simpler and more accessible solution, candle clocks, where the slow burning of wax became a measure of passing hours. These ingenious devices used something everyone had, wax and fire, to track the passing hours. As the candle burned, time melted away, quite literally. The concept was simple but effective. Candle clocks came in various designs. Some were tall and slender for longer timekeeping, while others were short and wide for quicker measurements. Despite their usefulness, candle clocks weren't perfect. The speed of burning depended on wind, temperature, and the quality of the wax. And of course, they needed to be relit constantly. If the flame went out, so did the time. Candle clocks were particularly popular in monasteries where monks needed a simple way to track prayer times at night. In some castles, noble families used ornate candle clocks as decorative timepieces. Meanwhile, in Japan, a similar technique using oil lamps was developed, transitioned to mechanical clocks. But as societies advanced, so did timekeeping. Eventually, the world moved beyond fire and wax towards something even more precise, mechanical clocks, bringing us closer to the modern timekeeping we use today. So, these were the fascinating ways medieval people kept track of time without clocks. It's amazing to think that today we are so dependent on timekeeping devices, yet back then people managed their daily routines with nothing but nature and clever techniques. What do you think? If all clocks and mobile phones suddenly stopped working today, would we be able to measure time accurately? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing historical stories. See you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.